This is the artificial intelligence voice of Bill Maher, narrating this pod-slice summary of the Club Random podcast. Within the freewheeling conversation, Barr and Maher talk about a range of topics. This includes Barr's life in Texas and Hawaii, Maher's passionate stance against the pharmaceutical industry and Monsanto, and their shared experiences in the comedy industry. When asked about her tree farm in Hawaii, Barr details the challenges providing insight into her life outside the comedy circuit. Conversation shifts to discussing Barr's controversial past, and the interview takes a more serious turn. Barr passionately voices her disdain for Monsanto and suggests a conspiracy theory between vaccine producers and large corporations, claiming they are trying to harm us. Maher counters this, stating that he was one of the first to question the pharmaceutical industry's practices. It's clear that their beliefs may differ, but both individuals command a mutual respect for each other, despite their unique opinions and vehement discussions. Next, they delve into potential conspiracies about vaccines. Barr believes that vaccines are an attempt to harm everyday people, an idea Maher disputes, leading to a deeper discussion about the ethics of the pharmaceutical industry. There is tension but nothing hostile, a hallmark of Maher and Barr's friendship. Subsequent banter touches on the concept of aging, with Barr also revealing that she's been treated with testosterone as per Joe Rogan's recommendation. The pair then transition to a discussion about comedy. Maher and Barr delve into the way humour has evolved over the years, touching on famous comedians, including Lenny Bruce, and the way their comedic style doesn't always resonate with younger audiences. Barr also enthusiastically endorses the podcast, Skill Tony, praising the concept of giving fresh faces a platform to showcase their material. As conversation shifts to generational comparisons, both agree that the younger generation is more lazy and mentally deranged than their own. Barr attributes their alleged shortcomings to poor parenting, creating a societal rotes over the last few generations. Reminiscing about past escapades forms part of the dialogue. Barr divulges an amusing anecdote about a fistfight with Maher at the Playboy Mansion, illustrating the long history between these larger-than-life personalities. The ever-changing dynamics of their relationship appear to be the lifeblood of this captivating conversation. The conversation continues with an exploration of conspiracy theories touching on mind control programs, such as MK Ultra, where Roseanne suggests that Bill might be under their influence. The conversation takes an unexpected turn towards the topic of reptilian elite ancient humanoids responsible for manipulating humans. When Bill challenges these theories, Roseanne rebuffs him by quoting religious texts like the Zohar, and also hinting at the subtle influence of these ideas in popular culture. The conversation then dives into the possibility of the existence of reptilian elite, like Queen Elizabeth and George Bush, who may have lizard-like characteristics. Roseanne discusses the concept with a degree of skepticism, but seems to take it lightly, joking about the supposed symptoms of inbreeding among these elite. Roseanne expands on the concept of inbreeding within royalty, suggesting how generations of intermarriage may have affected the genetic complexity of these individuals, potentially lending them unique or even abnormal traits. Roseanne then shifts back to discussing her tree farm in Hawaii, focusing on the challenges she's faced dealing with wild pigs. There's a connotation of struggle and frustration as she describes her battles with these wild animals, painting a picture of her farm life that's far from idyllic. The conversation takes a lighter turn as Bill playfully inquires about the methods Roseanne used to estimate the pig population on her farm. The podcast enters into a discussion about the accusations against Bill Cosby and the nature of his trial. Roseanne speculates on the violation of Cosby's civil rights due to procedural mistakes, while Bill argues there could be a certain poetic justice. While both agree that the trials have been a spectacle, they each offer unique perspectives on the implications of the results. Towards the end, the conversation becomes personal for Roseanne as they start discussing her career and controversy. Bill showers praise on Roseanne's highly successful and influential career, discussing the massive reaction to her Tonight show appearance and the success of her sitcom. However, things get intense as they broach the topic of her controversial tweet and its consequences. Roseanne fiercely defends herself, expressing her strong feelings on the matter and the conviction behind her comedy, which provokes a lively discourse between the two. The dialogue ends without a resolution, leaving the audience intrigued about this confrontation between old friends. Roseanne fiercely protests that she stands as a beacon of truth, contending that people, in general, aren't eager to face the truth. She implies that the truth-tellers are only appreciated and respected long after they have paid a significant price, often involving personal torture and societal exile. She believes the world is a dark place, governed by Satan. Despite Bill challenging her unusually dark worldview, citing her tranquil life in states like Hawaii and Texas, Roseanne doubles down on her belief. According to her, the world's power structure is riddled with Satanists who operate unseen. Sadly, most of them are oblivious to their alignment with such forces. Bill persistently seeks a specified identifier for these purported Satanists, to which Roseanne doesn't provide a clear answer, but ambiguously mentions the bank. The conversation is punctuated with several ad breaks promoting various products like Dr. Squatch soaps, Stash Monkey storage boxes, and Zyotix probiotic. These breaks diverge from the main conversation and veer into promoting their respective benefits, savings, and exclusive offers for the listeners of the podcast. Resuming their dialogue, Bill reminisces about Roseanne's appearance on his show Politically Incorrect, applauding her for her commitment to giving everyone a voice, and how even the unconventional perspectives should be heard. Roseanne, known for her candid revelations about the prevalence of child abuse in society, is commended by Bill. He remembers how she was initially perceived as exaggerating the gravity of the situation, and how far society has come in recognizing this as a widespread issue. In the midst of discussing her career, Roseanne mentions her stint playing the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz on Broadway, a role she concedes was probably typecasting, but was filled with fun nonetheless. Roseanne even recalls the thrill of flying via stage equipment during the performance. They also talk about her failed attempts to cultivate marijuana on her farms due to the legal restrictions in her states. The topic then gets back to the discussion on politics, specifically Roseanne's tendency to straddle the political spectrum. Acknowledging she isn't representative of the vast middle, Roseanne claims to be fighting on a different level of thought. The conversation reaches a poignant note as both reflect on how hard truth can be for most people to hear, with Roseanne attributing the world's darkness to the supposed rule of Satan. In this section of the Club Random podcast, Roseanne Barr and Bill Maher delves into different topics such as Kabbalah, karma, conspiracy theories, and personal philosophies. Roseanne's dark perspective of the world isn't limited to socio-political systems. She extends her inquiry into spiritual mystics as well, telling Maher she's into Zohar, a foundational work in the Kabbalah. It's a complex, profound viewpoint that interprets the nature of reality, incorporating metaphysical aspects like the karma of ants, a concept Maher amusingly likens to a Woody Allen joke. The conversation takes a more personal turn as Maher teases about Roseanne's mixed religious background, being raised as an Orthodox Jew and a Mormon. They also reflect on how they've grown over the years and the regrettable actions they've taken. Maher admits that he feels like he's getting closer and closer to being the person he wants to be as he ages, although there are daily regrets. Barr quirkily adds that her path to success didn't involve any shameful acts, except perhaps giving it all for free as a socialist joke. Their attention then turns to the housing crisis of 2008, where both agree that it was a significant event that shattered many people's economic beliefs. In particular, Roseanne points to the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland as one of the implicated institutions. Discussing their personal lives, the chat takes an interesting turn as Bill talks about his issues with staying in hotels. He bitterly recollects his experiences with construction disturbances during his stay, which prompted Roseanne to express her preference for staying on her farm. In this segment, Barr also scrutinizes the interpretation of the Bible, particularly drawing a line between being a Bible person and a Torah person. She criticizes those who take the Bible literally, considering the idea of emulating some text activities as ill-informed. She substantiates her argument by noting these events reflect the culture and time they were written in, not necessarily a moral guide for modern times. Roseanne concludes the conversation mysteriously, hinting towards a positive future where everything will be so great, crediting this foresight to the Jewish numerology technique, atria. She claims she accurately predicted Ito using this method. Diving deeper into the conversation, Roseanne presents an intriguing perspective that the Ito-K fiasco did lead to an economic crisis. She suggests that, in fact, it wasn't the predicted digital crash, but instead a financial fallout triggered by the insertion of a zeros between ones and referring to certain coding practices. Ma, although skeptical, entertains this theory, reflecting on his own experience of losing money during the dot-com bubble of the early zeros. Roseanne vehemently insists that these events were tied to Ito-K in the broader economic field. Amid light-hearted discussions about medication, Roseanne brings up a more somber topic: war profiteering. She compares war profiteers to a role in a famous Edward G. Robinson film, where the character compromised on aircraft quality for personal gain, resulting in the death of his son. She supports her argument by referring to the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of all central banks, alleging that all wars are controlled and financed by them. Ma appears to remain skeptical, encouraging Roseanne to elaborate on how banks control wars. Roseanne elaborates, suggesting that banks incite wars and equip both sides, reaping vast profits as a result. The conversation then drifts to politics, and both hosts agree that all governments use crises as means to enforce policies that they wanted to introduce. Ma mentions how the Bush administration used 9/11 as a pretext to invade Iraq, much to the Democrats' agreement. Touching upon the subject of the current president, Joe Biden, Roseanne and Ma express their concerns about his age and overall ability to lead the country. Comparing him to Trump and his seemingly more energetic demeanor, Ma raises concerns about Biden's chances in future elections. The conversation maintains a tone that is casual yet serious, filled with challenging viewpoints, humor and critical discussions about society, politics, and the world at large. Social issues such as war, corruption, political maneuvering, and the influential roles of major banks are major themes, keeping the audience continually engaged and provoking deeper thought dispensed with a touch of irony and humor. The dialogue evolves into a candid dissection of the current socio-political climate in America, as Ma and Barr share their views on partisan ideologies. Ma shares an anecdote about Candace Owens, a political commentator known for her conservative viewpoints, stating how he found himself agreeing with her on many subjects, but found other views outrageous. The difficulty, according to Ma, is in learning to live with someone you agree with on certain elements, but find their other beliefs fairly insane. In a humorous exchange, the two hosts spar over their respective sources of information. Barr accuses Ma of being sucked into the Fox News vortex, an accusation Ma vehemently denies. He shifts the conversation to the issue of information validation on internet, discussing how certain memes or ideologies spread without being checked out or vetted. Ma's most profound fear, he confesses, is the unpredictable nature of the human brain, and the irrationality he feels is prevalent in society. He admits concern towards the societal impact of these crazy views. Barr counters, proposing that society is often too conformist, punishing those who deviate from conventional wisdom. Recalling her tweet on militarized government, she clarifies, indicating she meant a militarized police force. They continue to delve into the era where police acquired militaristic equipment post-Iraq war. Ma links this to America's profit-driven ethos, suggesting excess military equipments were sold to local law enforcement agencies for They end the conversation with genuine laughter and mutual respect, despite their differing perspectives. Barr points out her fatigue in a straightforward manner, adroitly steering the conversation to an end, leaving the hosts in a sea of joviality and appreciation for the engaging discourse they shared.